Welcome, everybody, to the Resilient Minds podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I'm super excited. He's a former NFL and CFL linebacker from Fall River, Massachusetts. And I probably didn't pronounce it correctly, but he's co-owner of Anatomy Fitness in Miami and creator of the Megna method, right? Which combines the 4 phases of movement to create optimal strength, conditioning, and performance. Without further ado, I just want to welcome Mr. Marc Megna. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me, Eric. It's an honor and privilege to be on. I'm very excited. And I think this is my first podcast talking to someone in Australia. So there's a first for everything, but I'm looking forward to this. Seriously, thank you for having me on, really. And thank you for making time for me.
Always, man. You know, it's an honor and a pleasure, man. I mean, I'm super excited to really have you on here. So I've been looking, you know, and I kind of, just before we hit the record button, we were discussing a little bit about how your story really resonates of the hard work mentality of getting to creating everything that you've had in your life and what you've been through. So I guess I kind of wanted to touch base with you because oftentimes, you know, with the whole title of the podcast, The Resilient Minds, I really want to allow our listeners to really take an understanding of how our X factor, our experiences, continue to push behind our big whys. And I guess I just wanted to see if you don't mind sharing some of your experiences through your upbringing and as you've continued to bring all of this tremendous success into your life through the hard work and all of the experiences that you're going through consistently.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit of my story for the listeners, I think it's everything like the molding of the mind, the approach, the outlook perspective starts obviously stating the obvious at a very young age. So I have a different outlook because I started off very shy, very awkward. I mean, I certainly still have some of those things in me today. But I grew up as a very out of shape, overweight kid. And that, I'm going to be real honest, man. Like, I get it. You got to get over it. But I mean, it kind of scarred me in a way where I didn't want to spend time with people because I was so fearful of them mocking the way I looked. And they could see my insecurity, and they could see my shyness or the way I was protecting myself, the way I wore double XL shirts to hide my body. And, you know, I think that stays with me, Eric. Like that will never go away. Like I could be a shredded, fit guy later on in life, and I became much more fit and certainly more confident, but I still hang on to a lot of that stuff from my youth. So that helps me tremendously in what I do now in fitness and wellness and working with people. And a lot of times I think it helps me connect with people and just understand, like, look, that person on the other side of the room, that person they don't feel good about where they are. They are very uncomfortable. They need a friend. They need a smile. They need a, hey, what's up, man? How are you? And that's a huge part of what we do at Anatomy. And I think everyone on our team kind of embodies that. And we've grown and gotten better together at recognizing those things in others.
Love it. I love it. And as you kind of continue to, I think that's a big thing. And by the way, for anybody that's not watching or hasn't, you know, checked out Marc's website or knows Marc yet, you got to look at this guy. He's like literally when you're talking about shredded, this guy is shredded. You know what I mean? So you've persevered and you've continuously brought it to your A game as a result of, can you say it's because of some of these experiences? That drive, has it been created because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you start off, and I talk about it in the documentary, if you start off like really good at something, like that's not good. Meaning there's a shallow ceiling to that, to your to how high you can elevate, or where you can go. You know, early on, I didn't understand it when I was young, but Eric, I failed at everything. Like everything. Like people say, oh, I was always good at that. I wasn't good at anything. And I love to tell you, the only thing I was good at was not realizing that I was bad, and I just kept trying. And I just kept trying. And most people looked at me, look, in sports, when I started playing baseball, the coaches made fun of me. They said, dude, baseball's not for you. You can't hit a ball, you can't run. You're fat and out of shape. And hearing that, like obviously I was dealing with a human being who wasn't well adjusted, took their frustrations out on kids. And you understand that later on. Like, but when you're a kid, you're like, what an asshole, right? So then I try to play ice hockey, and it takes me, most kids use the cone for a couple weeks. I'm using the cone for 6 months, and I'm trying to get better. And in school, I'm basically hiding in the classroom because I'm just so afraid to speak up, because I don't want the teacher to make fun of me for sounding stupid. So my level of insecurity was so high. I had this deep fear of being found out, you know, like imposter syndrome. And I just knew that something in me told me to keep trying. And I honestly can't explain to you why, but I just wanted to get respect. And I knew that if I gave up, like I would prove them right. And I really wanted to prove people wrong. I know probably that's not the best motivation. You should do it for you. But to be honest, if we're being completely honest, I just wanted to prove people wrong. And I said, I'm going to show you, and you're going to say, I was wrong. Wow. And I really felt like I could set a great example for all the other kids that were either bullied, picked on, made fun of. And I'm saying, look, I can do it. You can do it. We can do this together. And I wanted them to see me trying. That's it. Really, that's it.
I saw a brief clip in a documentary where literally one of your family members was saying, you know, when you were talking about creating football, they were like, they were not super. So how can somebody that maybe relates back to, like, if they make a decision to go after a dream or something, and their families sometimes can be not super supportive of that. Mm. What is the biggest kind of takeaway that you can, through that experience, suggest to anybody that ever has that type of, because we do, and I've been there myself, like, you know, my dreams, my ambitions, where I want to go, you know, and when I continue to grow, my family sometimes doesn't see that picture, so they just want to keep us safe, right?
Right. So think about this. That was very well said, by the way, Eric. Think about this. Look at generations of families. Like my grandparents come over here from Italy, and my mother's here. Now, my grandparents didn't go to high school. My mother went to high school. My mother didn't go to college. I went to high school. I went to college. I still work on continuing education today. It's very important to me. So I'm just trying to give you a brief example of how generationally things change drastically. So if your family's not supporting you, it's not because that they don't love you. It's probably because that's the only way they know how to show love, and they think that they're protecting you. Meanwhile, they really don't understand that if you're holding a bird that can fly in your hands, that's really not helping that bird. Wow. If you want the bird to feel good about who they are, you got to let them fly. Now, I try to work with people in our team, and I want to help them and build them up. And I want them to fly, but I'm dealing with a lot of different situations now. So to stick with yours so we don't get sidetracked, you have to understand, if your family's not supporting you, that's just because they think they're protecting you from going out into the wild jungle of the world. They don't understand that you could be the first generation that could go out and do it. They're just a little bit scared for you. You know why? Because they're scared. That's who they are. Yeah. And they don't have it in them to say, I failed, but you can do it. Right? Or I didn't follow through on my dreams, but you can. And no one's going to admit that. You know why? Because their type of love wants to keep you right next to them.
Beautiful.
But my mother would say, and I got to tell, I tell the same story every time I speak to people. She said, look, if you want options, she would walk me down from our apartment and she'd walk to the corner and she said, see those guys in that corner over there? And I said, yeah. Well, see those guys in the corner over there? She said, yeah. Why do you think they do that every day? I'm like, because that's what they want to do. She said, nah, I disagree. That's because they don't have options. You want to have options, Mark. And if you want to be out in that corner, that's because you make a choice to do that, not because you have no options. Create a world where you have options for yourself. And I'll never forget that. And very wise woman who barely finished high school, and she just wanted me to have a little bit more because she believed that I could be more. And I want my future kids that I don't have someday, hopefully, that to do more than me, and their kids to do more than them.
Wow. Profound, bro. And it's like, I love that Tony Robbins says, it's our decisions, not our conditions that shape our destiny.
That's right.
It really resonates. That really, what your mom says really resonates really well. So based off of that, and, kind of like circling back, based off of all of this, all of this drive that was created through this experience, which essentially I like to call the X factor, your X factor, you're unique, right? What drove you, to create that why, that big purpose of, jumping into the NFL, the CFL, creating this high level luxury gym in Miami, and now, providing so much immense value to people and your clients, that are, at the end of the day, getting a ton of results, right? Just because you're able to facilitate that.
I personally feel like I told someone this recently. When I deal with people in training and physical fitness, one of the biggest fears that most of my clients have is getting out of shape. And they get to a place where they're strong, they're confident, they like the way they look, they're feeling good about themselves. And their number one fear is what?
Failure. I'm suggesting.
Failure, but what's failure look like once you're in shape? Once you reach the pinnacle of fitness for what you believe it is, what's failure?
I guess losing it.
Losing it. Thank you very much. And I always have the same conversations with the people I work with. I used to work with a lot of athletes. I don't work with a lot of athletes anymore. I say the same thing to them. I say, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you're an everyday person, general population. You will never get out of shape. And they go, what do you mean? I said, do you see yourself hanging out, drinking for days on end, eating whatever you want, and not training and not being mindful of it and not caring? They say, no, I'm always going to care. I say, right. So to answer your question, what drives me, I care, and I don't have it in me to not give my best. I have to do my best. And it's not about me telling you, I'm going to do my best, Eric. I know what my best is. And I'm the first person to stand up, look you in the eye and say, that was shit. That wasn't my best. I know it wasn't my best. The last thing I want people to do is have to hold me accountable. If someone has to hold me accountable, I'm already failing. I have to give my best because I can't look myself in the mirror. It's a curse, but my best is going to be different from your best and the next guy's best and the next girl's best, whatever it is. I know what that means. I know if I get down on a rowing machine and I have to go out and push myself, I can stand up and say, that was everything I had in me, Eric. Or I'll say, I had a little bit left. And one thing I've worked on my entire life in my life is knowing that I had nothing left.
Yeah.
And that scares the hell out of me, knowing that I could have done a little bit better. And that's in everything, man. And I fall short of things. Leading, something happened recently where I thought I was doing an amazing job with the team. I wasn't, man. And it hit me like a punch in the face. And I was thinking, I thought I was doing everyone a solid. And I didn't even think about the other side of it. And that wasn't my best. So I need to be better for them and for everything else.
Dude, that's so powerful, especially the thought of like leaving a little bit on the table, just that little bit on the table. To leave that little bit on the table, it's like thinking, you know, on your deathbed, do you want to leave something out there that you could have, should have, perhaps would have done, you know, and you end up leaving it for like you're regretting it in essentially, right?
Well, that's just it. Like, I mean, I dealt with athletes. I dealt with athletes my whole life where they say, I said, why don't you give more effort or better effort or give it everything you have? And I know that I already know the answer, because if they give everything they have and fall short, then there's no excuses. But if they don't give everything they had, they can go back home and say, Eric, you know what? If I gave everything I had, I would have done it. And I say, there's only one way to find out. Like, you know how many times people say, I could have been a special forces operator. I could have been a Navy SEAL. I could have been this. I'm like, that is so disrespectful to say. Because the whole point of life is doing it.
Wow.
Application, putting it into action. If you don't follow through on it, I don't want to listen to what you're saying. You've heard it before. What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. I don't give a shit what you say. I hear great ideas every day. I'm like, that's a great idea. Go put it into action. The only difference between Zuckerberg, Jobs, like all those people, they didn't talk about it. They didn't Instagram it. They went out and did it.
Yeah, man. And it's so the power of action, how it can really change the trajectory of our lives, because so many of us have great ideas, but yet it's like you're saying, implementation is key. And I think that shows up a lot in your work, right? Like, I mean, describe those values in your work, in how you show up for your team, your clients, right? Describe that implementation of action consistently, and that never-ending improvement that you expect from yourself, your team, and your clients.
Well, I say this all the time, like, you have to look, the way I see things, the way I view things, it's different from the person next to me. It's different from the person that's on our team. Like, look, I'm going to be honest. Like, I firmly believe that I make the most positive decisions, not just to benefit Mark, but to consider other people. And I'll tell you something happened recently where I thought I was making an amazing decision for everyone because I was helping get things moving. And I was told, like, those people weren't down for it. And I was just in shock, but that's because they view things differently. They just view things differently. So I'm trying to respect. Look, someone told me this, judgment is the last thing. There's the first thing we judge on. Judgment is a thing that's the first we see on others. That's the last thing we see on ourselves, meaning it's something that we see in other people that we really see in ourselves. So I'm trying to do a better job being understanding. I'm trying to do a better job being empathetic. I'm trying to be more kind, more caring, be a better listener. But I'll tell you, when I do all those things, a part of me thinks that I'm doing a monster disservice to the person that I'm trying to lead, or that I'm trying to coach, or I'm trying to help, because they firmly believe that they make all the best decisions, perfect decisions. And I'm thinking the same thing where I'm coming from. So it's hard because I feel I'm doing them a disservice because sometimes I think there's certain things that they need to hear. And I'm nervous because I know what I come from, Eric. And it's not because I'm smarter or tougher or old school and I've been through hell. That has nothing to do with it because we've all been through hell. We've all been through our own adversity. And I know that. But I really feel like I'm doing people a disservice if I don't hold them accountable. If I don't tell them what I firmly believe they need to hear, which was probably something told to me at one time. And lately, I'm doing less of I know it sounds crazy, but I'm being a little bit less empathetic and a little bit less understanding because I'm not loyal to that person in front of me. If it's a kid who's a trainer, who's 21, 22, 23, I'm loyal to the 30-year-old, 35-year-old, 40 version of that kid where they're going to look back and say, he was kind of an asshole, but he was right. And I learned something from him. Because if I just tell him what he wants to hear all the time and I'm super sensitive, I feel like that's not the best way. And I'm going to tell you, for the last 5 years, I've been doing a lot of that. And now I feel like it's doing more harm than good. So I'm trying to find that even ground. And it's hard, man. It's hard. Really hard.
Wow, that resonates tremendously, dude. So like even with some of my clients, when I know that I've triggered them, I feel, and I know that because, you know, you have that sense or you sense that energy where you've triggered them because you've given them that like really bleeding lesson of like, listen, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you're not doing, and holding them accountable. But you know that that's an opportunity for them. Like, you know, my coach tends to say that that's literally my job, is so you can start extrapolating what's going on here and why you're literally spending the time to like why I've triggered you or why you've triggered somebody, right? So they can start to become more aware of how that. So I think that just, and it's actually happening recently with some of my cool, like amazing clients. So I love that you're sharing that because, dude, I guess if we're not triggering people, we're not doing our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, you know, trying to make the call, Eric, to say, I gotta lean into this person, man. I gotta let them know, and of course, I gotta be careful with my delivery and what comes across. But
100%.
Someone told me, you know, if you're smiling and you say, "Hey, man, how you doing? Oh, man, you look great," but inside you're saying, "You look like garbage, and I hate you," that's really all that matters, right? It's all about what is your true intention. And if sometimes I don't have the best delivery, like, believe me, I'm working on it. I know what my intention is. Yeah. And I know that I would rather completely fail, and my business partners would kill me, but I would rather completely fail at what I'm doing right now than be a huge success not doing it the right way. And if I make a decision on something, I can guarantee you it's not about making money. And maybe that makes me a bad businessman, but it's not just about making money. And that's the truth.
I think the money comes as a byproduct, bro. And that's where your heart, right? That's where your heart's always shown, man. And it's like, I totally resonate with what you're saying, dude. And it's all about, because when there's zero anxiety about losing it all, that's when you know there's something greater that's running through you. I believe.
Yeah, that's very well said, man. Very well said.
So brother, you know, tell us about, you know, describe the process around the Megna method. I really am curious, you know, and I'm certain that tons of people here, I know everyone, you know, that might be listening is like, how do I get all, you know, freaking jacked up and performance driven?
Well, I'm going to say this, like the Megna method really is way less about the Megna method and more about mindset. It's about, being a human being. It's about your energy. It's about your attitude. It's about your enthusiasm, your accountability. And the truth is, the Megna method is really what we have at Anatomy. And it's not based off of Marc Megna. The truth is, it's more about culture, community, energy, enthusiasm, and bringing people together. Since day one, I never wanted to be a solo act. I believe like the most important part of life is being around and adding value to people. And hopefully they're thinking the same thing. But so The Megna method is something that I've just lived my life with, and now it's something that I hope to add that sort of value to our community and culture at Anatomy. And now we have a whole team of people that it's the Jacqueline Kaysen method and Grant Whedon's method, and Eric Story and Alessandra and Nikki and Edwin. Like, all these people they're just adding their energy into creating this giant mashup of goodness and togetherness that there's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. And every day, like, we're learning from each other, and there's ups, there's downs, and it's just about being around good people. But that's what it is, man.
I think that it's a common, and really what it sounds like is that element of resilience in mindset, in development, in culture, in growth. And it really, it's so fascinating how it just all falls in, and it's all congruent with one another, right? Absolutely. As we talk about the podcast, as we talk about mindset, as we talk about business, as we talk about culture and relationships, and it all falls in line. If you can be congruent to one focal point, then they all just kind of drop into sequential order.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, right. And it's so key. I know you're well aware of this, but let me just say this. It's so key to be around people who want to do a better job of communicating, want to do a better job expressing how they feel, and going out of their way to be a little bit better, and going back home and saying, maybe shit. Oh man, maybe I didn't handle that very well. Maybe I need to man up or woman up and say, a person up and say, I need to fess up and owe that person an apology. Because that was total bullshit. Like, those are the people I want to be around. Yeah. I don't want to be around people that say, like, when I stand up, someone makes a mistake, I have, like, you know, the Jocko says extreme ownership. I've been doing that since I've been 12. You know what I mean? Like, that's my fault. That's my fault. I accept responsibility. No, it's my fault because I didn't coach them well enough. It's my fault because I let this happen. No, at some point, someone has to be accountable and take responsibility. Really. Because when I see someone else say that, I go, no, that's not fair. I'm not going to let you take all that responsibility. I should have some of that. Those are the people I want to be around. I don't want anyone taking all the responsibility because I played a role in that. I had a role. And the people who step up and say, no, Mark, that's not true. That's my fault. Those are the special people in this world that I want to spend time with.
Dude, dynamite. Like, just dynamite. You know, you've given us so much paths and, you know, creative outlooks of how we can really generate, you know, massive success, you know, in our health, in our fitness, in our mindset. What would you say is one reason why people fail?
Oof, man, it's a good question. It's a tough question. Why do people fail? Well, I think people fail because I think they get stuck in their head. And okay, you have big dreams, and I'm living here. Like, when I got to South Beach, Miami, I finished playing professional football. I played in the NFL a couple years. I played in the CFL for several years, and I was done. Mm-hmm. I had nothing. It's a long story, but I had very little. So I'm on Craigslist. I find 2 roommates, and I move into a house and split the rent with 2 other guys. I'm in my 30s, and I have roommates. And now I hear people say, no, I can't live with someone else. Bro, I'm living on a mattress on the floor after I played in the NFL. Wow. And it's not about Tony Robbins says standards. I got to do what I got to do. And you ask me, why do people fail? You know why? Because they're looking at, I want the house, I want the life, I want the job, I want this, I want all that stuff. I'm like, pay attention. You're right here. And you're going to fail because you're looking down there when you're not paying attention to the shit that's right in front of you. You need to focus on what's in front of you while you work hard toward the things down there. but you will never get down there unless you pay attention to the things in front of you. And that's why I think people fail, because they don't understand. It's okay to live in a shared space. It's okay to have a roommate. It's okay to sleep on a mattress on the floor. It's okay to clean up gyms. It's okay, because that's not where you're going to live forever. It's a moment in time. Whatever you do it extremely well and work your way to where you want to be. But that's easy. That's not hard. It sounds great, right? It sounds like a great rap, but most people, hey, guess what? I can't do that. Why, Eric? It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. My ego's too big for that. I don't want to start again. And it sucks, man. I lived it. It wasn't pretty. And I went home and I remember standing in my bathroom crying, thinking, I'm a complete loser. I can't believe I effed up everything I had going for me. And I was convinced I was a failure because I didn't have a 12-year career in the NFL. I was a failure because I played in the CFL. I wasn't appreciating the fact that I was an all-star in the CFL. We won the Grey Cup. It was an incredible experience. I met lifelong friends there. It was really my mindset. I was so hard on myself, thinking of all the negativity and missed opportunity. Not, hey, Mark, you played 9 professional football seasons. You lived all over the world. You've met incredible people. You have lifelong friendships, and you're working towards something. Just be patient and keep digging. And I would have those conversations with myself every night, Eric. Every night. There were a lot of tears, man. So,
dude, that's and you know what? I think that there's so many people out there that really need to hear that, because they don't understand what it really takes and how you can still get back up and get going, and you can recreate yourself no matter
right.
what it takes. That resilience that you've had for all your life, just continue to shine stronger and brighter, bro. So I know I just want to respect your time. I know we gotta wrap up, but before we do, and before I ask you the last question, where can people find you? Where can they find more information about you?
Sure.
And I'll put everything also in the show notes anyhow. So just go ahead.
Sure. You can find me at Anatomy Fitness. It's Anatomy on Instagram and social media. It's unbelievable brand I'm very proud of, with our entire team that's special. The other owners, Randy, Chris, and David. Marc Megna on Instagram, Marc Megna on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter a lot. I wrote a book called Dream Big, Never Quit that you can get on Amazon. You can also get it on Kindle. I'm creating the audiobook now. Last but not least, my dear friend in life, Randy West, made an incredible documentary. It took him 5 years to make. Interviews from all over the country in Canada with coaches, NFL coaches, family, friends, professors, college coaches, college teammates. It's about my life. And if you're a struggling kid, you're awkward, it's for you. If you were bullied, it's for you. If you're a parent, single parent, it's for you. If you have a goal of any kind and you're trying to work through something, you should check it out. Just a Kid from Fall River by Randy West of Monarch Productions. You get it on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play. It's on basically every platform. Just a Kid from Fall River.
I'll attach all the links to the show notes for us, Mark, so that people can just access if anybody's listening right now or driving.
Thank you.
You can't take that down. So, yeah, man, super pumped. I can't wait to watch it. I'm gonna, I looked at the trailer. It looked epic. I can't wait to really take a look into it.
I hope you enjoy it.
So last question I have for you, bro. If you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
Ooh, this is a great question. Wow. Oh, man. If I had 3 days left, what would I do? I would take all of the people I've worked with, right? I would train all of them at the same time and have like this monster training session where it's just filled with work and energy, enthusiasm, and gratitude. And I would thank them all. Then I would do a monster hugging fest and meeting with the entire team at Anatomy, because I don't think they understand what a large part they are of my life. And I'm talking about the One Hotel Anatomy, Midtown Anatomy, Anatomy at 1220, the entire organization. We would just have a really special dinner meeting. And I would spend some of that next day with my brother, because my brother's a construction worker, and he gets up every day at like 3:30 in the morning, and I get up at the same time. I'm in Miami, he's in Boston, he's in Fall River, but we get up at the same time and sometimes message each other, and we have such a deep love for each other, and he's like my hero. So I would spend a lot of time with my brother and his family and his daughter and his wife, and I would spend the entire last day with my wife, because she's the most incredible human being I know, and she's so good to me, and I just don't want to let her down. That's one of the main reasons why I work so hard, because she deserves so much, and I just want to create a great life for her. So
Blessings, bro. That's so touching, man. And any last concern or like statements or anything that you want to just share with the audience and anybody that's listening?
yeah, absolutely. People always ask me what's the best advice I could give, in anything. And I always laugh. I said, first of all, I'm not that qualified to give great advice, but the things that people told me over the years that resonate boils down to two things. Number one, just be kind and be a good person. And if you're not sure what to do, just take a second to think about it. And that's advice I'm giving to myself, and I constantly give to myself. And it's never too late to go back and apologize or do the right thing, whatever that may be. We all have a very different version of what the right thing is. I know that. And the second thing is, we all have something incredible inside us. Do not suppress that.
Yeah.
Give this world everything you got. Everything you got. So thank you very much for having me, Eric. I really appreciate it, man. It means a lot. Thank you.
Blessing, bro. Honestly, I'm very humbled and grateful. Honestly, thank you. And such wise words, such great advice. And honestly, man, I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful we can connect, and I look forward to many more of these opportunities, my friend.
Thank you, Eric. You take care. Have an amazing night, and I appreciate you, brother.
Blessing.
All the best. Stay safe.